You're trying to apply for a job that you're not qualified for. Here's what I think you should do. So I have just returned from the great city of Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. I literally got back in last night, and not only is it a fascinating place to go to, so if anyone hasn't been there, I would implore you to go and see what's happening, or what has happened over the last few years and what's going to be happening in terms of their development. I really went there for two reasons. One was for pleasure, but the other one was to talk to a few of the law firms and see whether there is a path there for opportunity for South African lawyers and for African lawyers in general, actually, to come from other countries. The short answer is yes, possibly. There aren't that many international firms there at the moment. There's certainly way more in Dubai and in certainly in-house as well. They tend to be based in Dubai, but Riyadh is growing, and it's growing rapidly. So more and more international firms are entering the market. Massive city, offices everywhere, offices going up overnight, it seems. Very, very ambitious plans that they have for 2030. So for me, it's a case of watch this space. We are certainly trying to open up a pathway for African lawyers to get into law firms in Saudi Arabia, and there'll be lots and lots of development going on, so get in touch and come on that journey with us. One of the emails that I received this week was from someone looking to do their articles. So as a student, but someone looking to do their articles and possibly do their articles overseas. Now, it's a tricky one, because this particular person is a South African, but they don't have another passport and they don't speak another language. So what I was saying to this particular a young potential lawyer of the future was, it's not that it's impossible to get articles overseas, it's just going to be very, very difficult. Because it's not a question of skills and personality, it's a question of immigration. So let me just give those of you who are listening that don't necessarily, or haven't really necessarily been through the immigration process before, just a couple of pointers. I have personally been through it a number of times. I've also been through it for our candidates over 1,000 times. So in every single country, it's exactly the same. It is a process of proving that you are needed. It's that simple. So when you're applying for a visa, or when the company that wants to employ you is applying for your visa, it is a question of, is there anybody locally that could do this job, or do we have to import these skills? That is really the question that's being asked. And the more experience you have, therefore, obviously, the more they can write in their application. The more likely it is that you have skills and experience that aren't going to be found locally. Whereas when you are a student going into articles, it's a lot harder to prove that there isn't anybody locally, especially if you're moving to a country like the US or the UK or Australia or Canada or New Zealand, somewhere where there's loads of students. You're going to be facing stiff competition. So like I say, it's not impossible, and if anyone's ambitious enough to try and get their articles overseas, I would definitely implore them to try and do it. But like I say, just remember, it's not a question of your personality or your experience. It's a question of will you get through immigration? And the more junior and experienced you are, the less likely. Now that lends itself as well to the rest of the legal fraternity. If you are older, 4, 5, 6 years PQE, a partner, general counsel, if you're looking to move overseas, it's still going to be a question of immigration. And is there anybody locally that can do the job? There's ways and means of dressing up experience to make sure that you are approved by the immigration control, but it's just something to bear in mind. It is always a question of immigration and less so about you and your skill set. One of the other emails we got this week was from someone looking to apply for a position that they don't really have the experience to do. It's a real tough one. This particular person is a very skilled and experienced lawyer in a certain practice area. They're looking to cross over and do something into, in a completely different area altogether. And they were looking for some guidance and advice on, really kind of stepping away from what they've built their career in. It's a real tough one, and it's all very individually focused because it depends on what you've done and what you want to go and do. And for us to help that person or whoever wants to get in touch about crossing out of the law or crossing into another area of law, it's about us helping you find those crossover skills and then proving that this experience is relevant to this experience. Not always easy to do, which is why I would implore you to get in touch with us, because obviously we're the experts at it and we will definitely help you do that. But it brings into question the relevance of the jobs that you're applying for. Look, if you think you can do it and it's something you want to do, then go for it. I mean, be ambitious, go for it. But at the same time, remember that you've got to prove your relevance. So when you're applying for a job that through GRM or directly to a company advertising on LinkedIn, then just remember, look at the job description, and if you've not got any experience, then make your experience relevant. Explain why X and Y and Z is relevant to A, B, C. And this, the last thing I was going to talk about this week is really just a general point about the application process and when we're working with lawyers to help them find their next dream role. There's always a point where we typically find this a lot with lawyers that typically risk adverse by their very nature, and it's very difficult when the person is being super cagey with their information. I get it. We live in a world of everything's public, and you sometimes want to hold back on some of the skills and experience and revenues that you might have generated, or you're not sure how to dress it up. But we're finding this more and more and more, that a lot of lawyers are becoming very cagey with the information that they're sharing, and that is only doing their chances of getting that next role a lot of harm. So my advice on this stage is, you can't just ask for trust, you have to earn it, obviously, but is to trust our process. And if you don't understand our process and you don't trust in our process, then ask, and I will, myself or my colleagues will explain it in great detail of how we protect that one's data and what we're going to use with that information for, and how we're going to use it and how we're going to dress it up. We want you to be involved in the process every step of the way, but being cagey with information is only going to do your experience, your opportunity harm, or getting that opportunity at harm. So my advice to all the lawyers, certainly of all seniorities, is if you don't understand our process and you don't trust it, then ask, so you can get to the point of trusting it, so you can share the information we need to get you in the door with that next great opportunity.